Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chat from a Hat. I'm your host, Josh Brown, along with my co-host,
Caleb Luther.
Caleb, how are you this evening?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Not too bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Not too bad.
What have you been into this week? What'd you do?
I haven't done a lot, honestly, other than watch Grammys, watch the Lakers last night, see LeBron get the all-time high-scoring record, which was awesome. But other than that, some work stuff, typical things. Very boring week. Very, very boring life of mine. What about you?
Same. I guess. I didn't watch the Grammys. I didn't watch LeBron. I worked and...
You did watch The Last of Us, though.
Yes, did watch The Last of Us. We've been watching that, which if you have never seen The Last of Us, you need to watch that show. It's very, very, very good. Very faithful to the video game, and also not faithful to the video game at all. But
probably in a good
way. In a good way. It expands upon a lot of stuff, which I was hoping they were going to do anyway, because some of the characters that they expand upon, you want to find out about, and they did a very good job with that.
Sure, as someone who has never played the video game, I agree. Never played it, so I don't know, but I assume that that is correct.
That it is correct. Yeah. I can assure you it is correct. So Caleb, we watched Knock at the Cabin this week.
We did.
We'll touch on that briefly, and I do mean briefly.
Yeah.
You loved it?
Whoa now.
Okay, fine. You liked it.
I thought it was adequate, and for Shyamalan, who's very hit and miss, I thought it was pretty good.
And it was a big old fat miss for me. So
that's okay.
That's
It's
did not care for it.
It's
okay
at all. To be objectively wrong sometimes, and sometimes that happens.
Okay, all right, fine.
No, I understood your criticisms. We don't have to get into them, but I totally understood your criticisms. And
you can go on Caleb's Facebook page and read those criticisms if you like.
Sure, man. Sure, get on there if you want. I prefer if
go
you
vote on his tournaments too. What is it this week? More shoes or
no, Josh, it is not shoes. I'm doing best franchise movies of the last 43 years, so since 1980.
Okay.
Big tournament.
God, it's been 43 years since 1980. That's insane.
It's awful. Just awful.
I wasn't born yet.
Neither was I. Yeah. I wasn't born either.
So Caleb, moving on from A Knock at the Cabin, the Grammys. You had some really strong opinions about the Grammys.
Did I?
You did.
Well, I mean, it's not that I have strong opinions about the Grammys, but I did take a list of things. The Grammys did happen Sunday, and it is. For some reason, out of all of the big award shows, it is the biggest. It's the most popular one. It's the one that gets the most views, which is funny because I find it to be the least credible out of all the shows. I think that if I'm comparing it to, let's talk about the Oscars and the Emmys. Let's call those the other two. When it comes to the Tonys, don't know, just unaware. I've never been to a Broadway show, don't know any of this stuff. So I'm not counting that. But if I'm counting the Emmys and Oscars, I think that the Grammys is by far like the least credible. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because frequently they will nominate, and even the winner will frequently be one of the more popular albums that came out in the past year. And whenever you look at TV shows and movies, those things were kind of popular, but they're not the most popular. It'd be like the equivalent of Spider-Man No Way Home. After it makes $1 billion, like, you know what, let's reward it with the Best Picture nominee, and, let's let it win. And that's usually the case with the Grammys. They tend to lean towards things that are popular, and they'll throw in, now that they're up to 10 nominees, they'll throw in some ones that are, like, out of left field. And for some reason, Coldplay got in there this year, and I don't understand that, but obviously, they did not win a daggone thing, and probably for good reasons. They're Coldplay. They performed at the Super Bowl one year, but, I think that they're the least credible out of all the prestigious award shows. And here's why. Here's another reason why I think that. Do you know the Beatles? Have you heard of the Beatles, the band The Beatles? Well, you know how many album of the years that they won?
One?
They won one. They won one
for Let It Be, right?
It was for Sgt. Pepper.
Really?
Yeah. So they were nominated a lot, but Abbey Road was lost to something. And I don't know that much about music from the 60s, but I did not know this album that Abbey Road lost to.
What was the album?
I don't remember. I didn't even write it. I just know that Abbey Road, objectively one of the greatest albums of all time, and I think most people's favorite Beatles album, did not win. You know who else has never won Album of the Year? And I think they've only been nominated for Album of the Year once or twice, and that is Radiohead. So Radiohead and Metallica both. Mm-hmm. Two of the longest running, most popular. I'd actually say Metallica is the most popular band in the world, and they have been for a while. Like they just start whenever they have a show coming out, it's selling out in like 2 seconds, and they're just very, very popular. Never won Album of the Year, but if I'm going more towards modern times, an artist that's actually never won Album of the Year, even though she's nominated for every album that she puts out, and I don't know her music that well, except for maybe her last album, which was Lemonade, and I'm talking about Beyonce. Never won Album of the Year. She gets nominated and she wins a lot of Grammys. Like she wins like it's almost like they put her in a box. It was like, you're allowed to win these Grammys, but you can't win this one. You can't win this Album of the Year. So she's never won. Hip hop albums. Only 2 albums in the hip hop genre have ever won. And those hip hop albums, they're barely hip hop albums. They're multi-genre albums. Mm-hmm. So an Outkast album won, which is Outkast's like 4th best album probably, and Lauryn Hill won in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So this Album of the Year is just bogus for the most part. And this is coming, there's no like anger or anything like that coming from this. I don't care who wins. Good for Harry Styles. Good for whoever won. John Baptiste won the year before, I believe. But it's just, I don't have enough energy to actually care about who the winner is or who the losers are, because it's an award that just never mattered. Whenever I think about how the Beatles have never won, Radiohead's never won, Beyonce's never won, Metallica's never won, it's just an award show that doesn't matter to me. And you know what the last rock album to win Album of the Year?
How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb by U2.
2011 Arcade Fire.
Oh, yeah, because the front runner for that was actually Eminem to win that, I believe.
So Eminem's never won, which I do not care that he's never won. I'm not a big Eminem fan.
No, I'm just saying. It was between those two.
So overall, if I'm just looking at the history, and I was actually going through all of the Grammy winners of Album of the Year from like 1960 to now, and you know what? From like the 60s to maybe the early 90s, the winners were a little bit more agreeable, and this may come from a place of like, oh, Caleb's a boomer or whatever. But I think music as a whole was, overall, all the music was just kind of good. I think music kind of, even though the 90s is my favorite decade for music, I think popular music started to get a little bit worse in the 90s. And now I look at today, and I'm 33 years old, and I'm like, oh, this garbage they play on the radio. So it's just not my it's not my thing.
It's not your cup of tea.
It's not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea.
As someone who loves tea, it's not mine. Not my particular cup of tea. But yeah, it's an award show I don't care about. What do you have to say about the Grammys?
I'm glad Harry Styles won.
That'd be good.
Because that was probably, honestly, it was probably my maybe second, third favorite record last year. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm happy the guy won.
I mean, I never got into his music, but I think what really got him to win is that I think it's a very agreeable album. And if they do ballots similar to the Oscars, there's the preferential ballot. And my guess is that everybody that voted listened to that album and they didn't hate it.
Yeah,
like they liked it and they got that preference. Yeah. That's how Green Book kind of won Best Picture. So yeah, I mean, Kendrick Lamar's never won. I think it's one of those things where an artist that's doing like kind of daring stuff on their album. I don't mean that as a slight on Harry Styles at all, not at all. But I think the Grammys aren't necessarily ready to like award stuff that's doing like outside of the box stuff. They'll give Kendrick Lamar Best Rap Album. They'll give Beyonce like Best R&B Album or whatever. But they're like you can't get Album of the Year quite yet. But you know, like I said, it's hard for me to be upset or even happy about winners and losers, because some people won last night that I actually really liked. Like Wet Leg won Best Alternative Album. That was pretty cool. It was their debut album, so that was cool.
Cool.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about the Grammys. For someone who doesn't care about the Grammys, I had a lot to say about it. But I just wanted to pull off some factual stuff, like some facts that, you know, maybe some people didn't think about when they think about the Grammys. But yeah.
Well, Caleb, that will bring us to LeBron. LeBron last night, by 1 point.
This is what people come to the podcast for the LeBron talk.
For 1 point, is now the all-time leading scorer in the NBA.
I think 2 points. I think 2 points. I mean,
was it 2 points?
He went over. He went over. Then maybe 3 points, because then he scored another basket. Yeah, all-time leading scorer. Congrats to him. There's still a lot of people that hate him, but he's really, really undeniably great. He's my second.
He's never make it in
He's my number. He's my number 2 of all time. I have all of my LeBrons today, my tennis shoes, and just paying my respects to a great baller. You know, Kobe's always gonna be my favorite, but LeBron's great. He's great.
We have the Super Bowl Sunday. I'm looking forward to the commercials. I don't care about the game.
Here's the problem with that.
I don't care about the halftime show either.
They reveal all the commercials before, and I've seen the biggest one already. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Actually, excuse me. Myself, I care more about the halftime show every year than I care about anything else.
I do not. I'll be on my phone during the game, no doubt. I do not watch and I used to really like watching football, but I'm just like, I don't care about it anymore.
I will genuinely watch the halftime show and enjoy it, mostly because 99% of the time it's a spectacle anyway.
I'm telling you, I love that weekend halftime show.
Yes, that was incredible. It was great.
And I'm sure
that halftime show made me a fan of the weekend.
I'm sure Rihanna's halftime show is going to be really, really good too.
It's probably going to be great. Yeah. So Caleb, our friend Seth gave us something that we were going to try on the air. He gave us this. He told us here do a taste test, and he gave us a not a sponsor. What is this? Barrett's?
Barrett's.
Barritts. It says I don't know what that name is. Sugar-free, non-alcoholic. Sad. Ginger beer. And we actually we're going to go ahead and introduce our guest this week. We have a writer, librarian, chef, TikTok extraordinaire, Miss Erica Kitchen. Erica, how are you?
The crowd goes crazy.
The crowd goes crazy. We'll put some post effects.
Just some roar of applause.
I can't. I'm not that good at editing yet. So
I'll send you something to put.
So yeah.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Strange pick for a first guest, considering I don't talk all that much.
Well, it was. Listen, the topic. It was a topic that I believe you put in for us.
You did put it in.
So by default,
as you hear the.
There's the ginger beer. I'm excited
about this. Oh God, it looks like Sprite.
It looks like ginger ale.
It kind of does look like.
I think that's what it's going to taste like.
Yeah, that's probably what's
over under. If it's going to taste like ginger ale.
Over. How do we over under?
I don't know. Here I go.
All right.
Oh, it smells like. Oh, it smells a lot like ginger.
Ooh.
That's potent.
That's very gingery. That does not. That does not taste like ginger ale. That tastes like ginger.
That tastes like straight up.
That tastes like straight up ginger.
That would be a good palate cleanser.
God, all those years of ginger.
Where's this when you eat like sushi and stuff?
Those years of ginger tea has prepared me for this. Because if I didn't frequently drink that, I'd probably be like, what on earth is this?
That's really good.
Yeah.
And that's from a person that doesn't really partake in a lot of ginger stuff. That
is good. I like it. I love the way that ginger just feels in your nostrils.
Seth, you did good. You did good.
Oh God!
And now, it's just filling your lungs, ain't it?
What do you think? What do you think of it, Erica?
What do you think?
Oh, she hates it.
I've had ginger beer before. Actually, this is not my first rodeo. Yeah. Very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys ever had crystallized ginger? It's like a candy.
No.
Do not try it. It will set your mouth on fire.
I've had like ginger root.
It hurts.
Really?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
At least the kind I had.
I tell you what,
the burn on this isn't too bad.
We'll do that on the next podcast. We'll
get the ginger.
We'll get the crystallized ginger. That'll be our recurring theme. We'll just do ginger flavored.
I know on the movie Triangle of Sadness that was nominated for Best Picture. They're on like a cruise and there's like a big seasick moment that lasts 40 minutes, just people vomiting for 40 minutes. But they do give them this ginger tea. I mean, this ginger candy. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know what? That would be good in just regular life, but that is not going to help them in this situation. Take this ginger candy. It'll help your nausea. No, that will not. It's just people vomiting all over the place.
Well, Caleb, before we move forward with this week's topic, we'll move back very quickly. We'll move back very quickly. We got a lot of feedback on last week's episode of 80s albums. A lot of people left some comments and things. While you're getting your comments situated and going, do you have a favorite 80s record?
See, when I was listening and you guys asked me on, I knew you guys would ask me that. Mm-hmm. And I had to go back and look. My mode of listening to music isn't really... not typically album based. Mm-hmm. I don't usually listen to something back to front. It just kind of becomes a jumbled mess for me. But that being said, I do very much enjoy Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair.
It's a great one.
It's a great record.
It's a great record.
Great record
that I chose and I own, obviously, on vinyl because it is great.
Caleb, what was some comments
Some
that we
comments
got?
that I got here. Not that many, but some. First one here is from our friend Dustin Dent. He said the first 3 I bought as a kid was Run DMC, Raising Hell, Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet.
Good album.
The Violent Femmes debut album, self-titled album.
Cool.
From Ashley Carey, Music for the Masses by Depeche Mode, Violent Femmes self-titled, and Daydream Nation by Sonic Youth.
Sure.
My friend Erica Keck said Master of Puppets wins. I'm like, this is not a poll.
It's not a poll?
I was like, she was like,
That's okay.
She was like, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows.
No, that's okay.
So I'm guessing that Master of Puppets would be hers. Larry Dameron said 1984. That's Van Halen, right?
Yes. Yep.
Thriller by Michael Jackson. Purple Rain. Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen. Appetite for Destruction. Journey Escape. And Ride the Lightning by Metallica.
Great.
And the last one I got here, he didn't say any album, but he did compliment the 80s very much, and that's our friend Bevar Jeffrey said, God, all my favorite albums are from the 80s with a few exceptions.
Okay, well, that's...
Some big 80s fans.
A lot of big 80s fans, that's right.
See, now I'm just drinking this ginger beer on air, and I never drink anything, but now it's got my control now, because I do love...
Now you're going to go buy a 6-pack of that, ain't you?
I probably won't, because there's probably still stuff in it that's not good for you, if I'm being honest with you. So, it is good though. I love the ginger taste. It's a good taste. I like ginger snaps too. I do like them.
Is there anything ginger you don't like?
I like ginger. I need to pick up some ginger tea. I'm out. So
okay. Well, folks, this week we're going to be talking about banned books, not banned as in music, but banned as in no longer able to be sold, checked out, or
in public schools or in the library.
We're going to call also challenged books, I believe, is also a term for it. We're going to preface this with something that Caleb and I, have no idea about this topic.
That's why we're here. It's why we brought on Erica, when we knew was very knowledgeable on it, and she's an author and she works in a library. Yeah. So it's just something I don't read a lot of books, and other than obviously we see the headlines of books being banned, but it's not something that we're that knowledgeable.
We're also going to preface this with this might get into a slight political conversation, so we're going to preface that first. So if you're not interested in hearing a non-biased viewpoint on this, it's just straight up fact that is happening in the world today, then I suggest you turn the podcast off now or go to the very end to where we will pick next week's topic. So with that being said, Erica, you have the floor.
What are all the banned books that ever existed, Erica?
Okay, well, I have a selection to go over.
100,000 books.
But there's quite a bit.
Yes. Number 1.
I'll tell you what. First,
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's the ginger.
First, I'm going to give you guys a framework for discussion, so it's not just me talking at you.
Absolutely.
So, I'll just start with demystifying some of the information about banned books, because I created a banned book display at the Logan Area Public Library this past year, and the amount of people that come in and look and go, oh my God, this was banned? Why was this banned? This is currently banned. You're getting it from the library. It's in the library. Yeah, it's not banned here.
Right.
So there's a lot of, not misinformation, but just not a lot of understanding of the topic, which is fun.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. So start with the difference between a challenge and a ban, because they are two different things. A challenge is an attempt to remove or restrict materials based on the objection of a person or group of people. Challenge materials still remain in circulation unless a ban is enacted. And obviously, the ban is when people band together and get it banned.
Yeah.
But books, when they're banned, they're not removed from circulation everywhere. Like, when we talk about banned books, it is always kind of they're in pockets. It's very insular. They'll be removed from a particular school district or from a particular library. There's really no way to ban a book federally. And if there, it is very hard to get to that level.
Right.
But, why are books banned? Why aren't books banned?
Yeah, you could
give for real. You could give literally any reason to challenge a book. But typically they're banned due to sexually explicit content, offensive language, or any number of things. Like, I have a list here of some books that are frequently challenged or banned, and there are some interesting reasons why they are challenged.
Oh, we will get to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah. But basically, if someone finds an objection in the material in the book, and they get enough people together, they can go to the school board or your public library board and make a challenge. And bans aren't permanent. They can be reversed. Sometimes it is difficult to reverse these, but it is doable. So that's that in a nutshell. So for some more information, kind of the basis of book banning is the Comstock Act of 1873, which made it illegal to send obscene, lewd, or lascivious, it's a good word,
it's a big one,
immoral.
It's one of them $5 words that I don't know what it means, but that's
lascivious, immoral, or indecent publications through the mail. Because this man, what was his name? What was his first name? I had it here. This man, Comstock, was a postmaster. And so part of this law came into effect specifically of this material being circulated through the U.S. mail. And then there were some more laws put into effect. They're all just called the Comstock laws, that put restrictions on these materials being sold, given away, or even like having the possession of it. Like, you could get a misdemeanor for that. Of all things.
And this was when again?
This was 1873.
Oh, okay.
1873.
So that was,
okay.
Those were the days,
Yeah.
1873.
And like, the thing about this is it affected a lot of anatomy books, like anatomy textbooks.
Yeah.
What information on contraception that could be circulated.
We can't teach anyone science through the mail.
No. And weirdly enough, photographs of boxing matches.
They're too violent.
They're too violent.
Too homoerotic.
Is that what it is?
Is that what it was?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready to say.
Oh my gosh, really?
I was getting ready to be like,
what?
Wow, okay. Jeez. You learn something new every day.
Not necessarily, but I have a suspicion that might be a little bit of that there. Anyway, so Comstock's intense efforts led to the passage of anti-obscenity statute known as the Comstock Act, which made it a crime to distribute obscene material through the post, prohibited the use of the mail for distribution of birth control devices, so you couldn't be sending that. And that was something that was only recently rolled back in, I think, 1971. So
that's fairly recent.
It sounds about right.
Yeah. But ultimately, 24 states passed similar prohibitions on materials distributed within the states. But because the legislation didn't define what obscenity meant in concrete terms, that leaves the courts to determine what's considered obscene on a case-by-case basis. So that kind of forms your basis for book banning.
All because of somebody didn't want to handle anatomy books or homoerotic boxing matches.
Yes.
And contraceptive.
So that's...
There's a lot of things that I could say, but I won't say, just for the, again, unbiased approach that we are having on the podcast today. So we've got this guy. He's started this whole thing of getting things banned through the mail. Now, how did it enter into the school system?
How does anything enter through the school system, really? It all comes down to that same basic argument that you hear with just about everything is, but think of the children.
Oh, yeah.
But think of the children.
That's always it, right?
Yeah.
They can't be exposed to such things.
So, there's...
Yeah, like anatomy and homoerotic boxing matches.
They don't need to know that stuff. They need to be lost
If they
for the
are
rest of their
not
lives.
clothed, if they are not clothed in football pads and football gear, then it is homoerotic.
They gotta have their cleats on.
They gotta have them cleats on. They gotta be dressed from head to toe in baseball.
And I love sports, but come on now. There's clearly priorities are all messed up in the school system. It seems so.
And that goes with every school system. Every
that's
school
in America.
system.
That's just America.
Yes,
it's not just a West Virginia thing.
It's always sports is more important than education. That's the way it's always been.
Because it is. Just kidding. It was a joke. It was a joke.
But
let's continue. We're
continuing.
Where are we at?
We were talking about the schools and how it is what's best for the children.
Yes, and and how people are ridiculous.
Yes. What would you say is the most the groups of people that fall into the category of trying to ban books constantly or trying to go out of their way to make it to where children can't educate themselves through reading?
Mm-hmm. Well,
you can be as blunt as you want to be.
Well, typically they're conservative groups. They are PTAs, conservative lawmakers. So there's this thing going on in West Virginia right now.
Go ahead.
There's this thing happening. Yes. This source is from the Mountain State Spotlight, and this was published December 8th last year. So this is recent.
So it's about 2 months old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a sign erected in the West Virginia Senate chambers.
I saw this.
Yes.
I saw this article. Yeah.
I don't know if I did.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a sign erected that had #ProtectOurChildren.
Mm-hmm.
And there were flyers being distributed that was saying that West Virginia kids are have access to explicit and quote cartoon-like illustrations of sexual activity in public school libraries. So this small group, and I will say this man's name because it was in the article, South Charleston resident Dennis Westover is leading this group trying to get some books banned in our little state. Mm-hmm. And at this meeting, I think the selection of books that were shown at this meeting is interesting.
What were they?
One was a children's book about Ruby Bridges, who was the first black child to desegregate at a Louisiana elementary school.
Why?
A biography of Ruth Bader Ginsburg aimed at young adults. Mm-hmm. And an illustrated book starring a child wearing androgynous clothing.
Yeah, that sounds West Virginia, right?
So,
ban them all! Ban them all! So the same article I saw was I don't know if it might have been sourced from that, but I don't remember where I had read it either. But they had a meeting in I'm not entirely sure whose office they had.
Agriculture Commissioner's office.
Three lawmakers showed up.
Yes.
Out of how many do we have in our state? 500 people?
Yeah,
close.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 people showed up to this thing. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, his whole entire thing was in vain because no one came, which just warms my heart just a little bit.
Yeah.
People didn't care about the bullcrap that he was spewing.
Like it's so ridiculous to me how we, as a society, are trying to ban things, and this harks back to the '80s as well with the parental advisory stickers on albums. It's the same thing.
Still a thing.
It's still a thing.
Yeah,
it's still a thing. To me, it's one of these things where if you're a parent, you need to monitor your own children.
Exactly.
It's got nothing to do with what's being put out because everything in life, especially when it comes to entertainment, art, music, people are going to put out what they want to put out and what they feel connects with their audience. If And the thing of it is too about books and things especially for children. When you reach your teen and your adolescent years, that's when you really discover who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So if a person can go and look up a book or something like that would help them to become the person that they really want to become, they should have the right to do that. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with a book ban or anything. That's life. Like, everybody should be able to walk into a place, and especially think of a person that they are discovering who they are in life, and they find on the internet this book that they're like, I think that book would really help me, but they can't afford that book. They go to a library if the library has it and pick that book up. But if it's a banned book, they can't pick it up from there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous to me. I don't understand the concept of trying to ban art or ban something that would try to help a person. Especially going back to what we were talking about, anatomy books and things like that. Maybe a doctor's ordered their books in the 1800s like that. I know they weren't going and picking them up at a bookstore in the 1800s. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. That's just my perspective.
Well, yeah, I mean, back to the thing you said about parenting, like keeping like tabs on their kids or whatever. Like, almost all parents have a different parenting style from one another. Sure. So why should one person or a group of people be able to say, well, this thing isn't appropriate for all kids? Whenever parents have the say, regardless if we like it or not, they have the say of what is appropriate for a kid at that age of either 8 years old or 15 years old. So I mean, like, some parents won't view the thing that's offensive, quote unquote offensive, like a parent that will view that as offensive. So, like, I think it's crazy that people get to decide for, like, everybody. Yes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, as a parent, the best thing you can do is to give your child the critical thinking skills to decide
exactly
what sort of media that they want to consume.
I think critical thinking as a whole, and people having nuance about any argument that they make, is something that's very clearly very much lost upon. I mean, I'm not just going to say West Virginia people. It's people as a whole.
Well, the thing of it is too, and I look at it from this perspective. Are we going to ban the internet? Are we going to ban the internet? Because literally anything you want to find out or look at, you will find somewhere on the internet.
Yes.
So are we going to ban the whole internet? Are we going to ban certain things of the internet as well?
What's similar to, like, when people are like, well, I'm not going to buy a smart TV because they're tracking you. I was like, dude, do you see this thing, this rectangle in your pocket? It's called a phone. That's the thing. You shouldn't be worrying about a Chinese balloon or whatever. Like if they want to track you, they're going to track you. Dude.
And they've been able to triangulate cellular phones for 30 years now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not some yesterday news and yesterday thing they've discovered.
If you got a phone, people know stuff about you. Yeah. That's just the facts. And you know what? I've accepted that. I own a phone. Like, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try to ban a phone, because nobody's going to do that, because everybody kind of needs a phone. Either they're addicted or they actually need that phone to be able to communicate with someone. So it's sort of similar to the books thing. I mean, banning things is just I don't know. It's upsetting. Things that clearly don't need to be banned.
It's the thing too of what. You're reading a book, and it's differentiating a fact from fiction as well. If a person picks up a book and they're reading through a fiction novel, and you can probably attest to this since you're a writer, if I pick up one of your books and I'm flipping through one of your books and I relate to a character in that book, I need to differentiate that this is still a fictionary book. Or something that this is not real life. This is a book. Mm-hmm. I am separating myself from reality while reading a book. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why we are targeting books of all things in this world that we're trying to make irrelevant and. Folks, let me tell you something. I deal with people almost every day, and some of them, they can't read. And you're trying to ban... It doesn't matter what kind of book it is, but you're trying to ban things that people need to move on in life and do things in life.
I think that could really expand their minds.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand it.
I mean, I
and there's no... If we had another person here that was trying to talk about the side of, oh, well, we need to ban this because of this, and we need to ban this because of this. It's not that I'm closed-minded about it. It's just I don't understand the logic.
I would just feel like they're objectively wrong. Like I feel like nothing that they would tell me, I'd be like, oh, that opens up my eyes. I don't think it would. I've seen and heard everything, and I'm just like, I know, I don't get that at all. So yeah, that's something. I was going to ask you, Erica. I know you have more stuff to cover. But I was looking through a list of banned books, and there was a couple that, not the biggest reader, but there's some that I've seen the adaptations for in movies. Mm-hmm. And one of them is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. And apparently that's a book that has been banned from I don't know, libraries, public schools, I don't know. And have you read...
Most likely school systems. Yeah.
So have you read that one?
I haven't, actually.
So I watched the movie, and I guess maybe the movie must be more sanitized. Because my guess is that it must have like some sort of sexual content in it or something. Because I can't imagine what would be in that book that...
Well, I'm just going to pull out an example real quick, actually.
Pull out the example.
Caleb, last week you said something... when you guys came in and were like, we're going to need your help on this banned books thing. And you had made the joke about Where the Wild Things Are. Oh, it was banned because it was too scary.
25 pages of terror.
And I said, you said that with such conviction that I believed you for a second. Well, you were right.
Oh my God.
You were right.
I mean, I didn't know I was right, but I'm also not surprised that I was right.
So why did we ban Where the Wild Things Are?
Where the Wild Things Are... was banned, let's see, or in the 60s, in late 60s. It came out in 63. Mm-hmm. Readers believed Where the Wild Things Are was psychologically damaging and traumatizing to young children due to Max's inability to control his emotions and his punishment of being sent to bed without dinner.
I knew it. I knew that was what it was going to be. Because, I mean, that sounds... The book is very kid-friendly. Now, if you want to go over to the movie, if a little kid did see that was more geared towards teenagers or like late teens, early 20s that are kind of trying to discover themselves. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the book is totally harmless.
I did not know that.
Maybe I read that and subconsciously said that out loud last week. Maybe that did happen. Maybe, I don't know.
It's been called Too Dark, and the book was largely banned in the South. It has been challenged several times for its images of witchcraft and supernatural elements.
Witchcraft, huh?
Yes, Caleb. Witchcraft.
That's peculiar.
No. He's got these little friends that come to life. It's witchcraft.
No. He goes to an island with monsters. I don't think there is any witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
They're just monsters. They're not It's not witchcraft. They're these monsters.
My God.
Got kid. So the book. Have you read Where the Wild Things Are?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's been like forever since I did. But that's a very small book, right? Like a very short.
It's a picture book.
Like the fact that it got adapted to like a 100-minute movie, and they definitely like padded it. Mm-hmm. But it was more of a tonal, like a mood movie.
Good movie, though.
Very depressing and kind of sad and dark. And it is dark. Mm-hmm. But the book, I don't get that on the book. I think they adapted it well for like kids in their late teens. But as far as the book goes, like it's witchcraft and getting sent to bed without getting food. Okay. That's wild.
See,
that's quite literally wild, honestly.
Yes.
But if it was Hocus Pocus, though, it would be fine.
We got
because it's a children's book.
Now I'd say that there's still a lot of parents. I mean, it's just us being in Southern West Virginia see that and like, no, my kid cannot watch Hocus Pocus because it does have witchcraft. But for the most people, they find it to be fairly harmless.
Case in point, though, real fast. The same thing happened when the Harry Potter books came out.
Listen, that's
do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember the backlash? We were just teens, like we were like almost kids, right?
Yeah.
The movies came out, the books came out. Every time there was a new book, there was somebody saying, "Oh, it's witchcraft. It needs banned. My kid ain't gonna read that." And guess what? I was one of those kids.
I never got through. Well, I wasn't a big reader, and I didn't read any of them, but I felt like I would be in trouble.
That's why I never saw any of the movies or never read any of the books as a kid. Same. I did not watch those movies until probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's from a personal standpoint as well, that I feel personally invested in the topic in a sense of I had books banned in my home that I couldn't read, and I just see how silly it's silly that a person can't pick up a book and just read a book and enjoy the book and form their own opinion. That's the problem. Let people form their own opinions on material, on TV, on movies, on music, on books, whatever. Let them make their own opinion.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
I mean, no one ever stopped me from Harry Potter. Like, while I do remember all of that stuff, and you saw it on the news, those were some slow news days. Whenever they were talking about, God, is Harry Potter offensive towards kids?
Not on Fox News. It was every day.
Well, I didn't watch it, so I was forced. I was existing in school, and it seemed like the majority of kids, and even the teachers, were actually surprisingly very supportive of the Harry Potter books, which was. That was nice. I just never. Yet again, wasn't a big read. I was reading Goosebumps and stuff like that. But
Goosebumps is witchcraft.
Goosebumps, man. Let me tell you what. Some of those books are bangers.
Too scary.
Some of those books. I can't imagine any Goosebumps books got like banned or anything like that, right? Maybe R.L. Stein had some more mature books that got banned.
I didn't think to look, but I am.
He's just such a non-controversial,
sure.
so non-controversial. But that reminds me, delving into horror, is that I've never read It, the book It.
I was actually going to bring that up. I know where you're going with this.
But it does have a thing in it that I was just wondering, do any of us know if that book ever was a subject of being banned?
I don't think so.
Can
I walk over to the Logan County Public Library right now and pick up It?
Yes, absolutely.
Then there you go.
It just has that one questionable thing.
that one questionable thing is about 3 chapters of that book.
No way. I'd say it's just the thing that happens after the kids, they come together. They're rejoicing. The audience, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But yet again,
definitely something that didn't make the movie.
Still don't think the book should not be banned for that, and I'm glad to hear that it didn't, because
that's I mean. Again, form your own opinion and parent your kids and make sure they're picking up things that you as a parent think they should be picking up.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yep.
Not hard at all. So you had more books that were banned that we possibly know or may not know, but some reasons as to why they're banned.
Yes. I have a list here. These are some of the books that I spotlighted during Banned Book Week last year.
Which by the way, if you're listening in Logan, you can go pick those up at the Logan County Public Library.
Logan Area Public Library.
Logan area. Sorry.
And we are a public library, even though we're in a middle school.
Yes.
People get that twisted. We are public.
They are connected.
That's okay, though. That people know. People now know.
Yes. Okay, one of them is Lord of the Flies by William Golding.
Okay.
I own that, never read it though.
It's the one where the kids
on the island.
Kids on the island.
I have no earthly idea about that.
So Kids on the island.
My connection to Lord of the Flies, even though I never read it, is that I was into a band, and still very much into a band in the 2000s called Gatsby's American Dream, which, I mean, judging by their name, a lot of their songs were literature based. So they had almost an entire album, a concept album, basically about Lord of the Flies. And I was like, this is really interesting. Maybe I'll read it one day. And then I just never did.
Which album is that?
Volcano. Their album Volcano has a lot of. They have a song called Fable that's definitely very much about Lord of the Flies.
You know what? I've listened to that album and I never made that connection.
Listen, as a teenager, I was very much into learning about their songs. I was like, literature, huh? Maybe I'll read some of these books. And I just never did. Or like Animal Farm. What about Animal Farm? Is that like...
Animal Farm was definitely
so they had
banned.
Yeah, so Gatsby's American Dream had an entire album about Animal Farm.
So did Pink Floyd.
Nice.
Yeah.
Called Animals.
Gatsby's album was a little better and a little bit more popular than Pink Floyd's album, Josh. That was a joke.
That might be undoubtedly true, though, because nobody talks about animals.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate it, but I think it's good.
Yeah.
Continue, Eric.
Go ahead.
Lord of the Flies is the book that is most popularly known for the ones where the boys get stranded on an island and start killing each other.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a comment on society. Anyway, that was banned for use of profanity, racism, misogyny, depictions of sexuality, and excessive violence.
Yeah.
But you can pick up a Call of Duty game and get that every single day whenever you're playing online with children. I mean, parents your kids.
Yep.
Here's a popular one: To Kill a Mockingbird. Something that I don't know about you guys, but it was absolutely on the reading list. Was taught to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
in a high school class. Yeah. Because of themes of sexual assault, use of profanity, and use of racial slurs.
Yes.
There's so many. The Giver.
I was going to say, is the Giver
Giver
not on there?
The Giver by Lois Lowry.
Yeah,
everyone that came in and looked at the copy of The Giver said, "Really?
Yeah.
Really? The Giver?"
Because literally, I can remember in grade school, middle school, high school, like that book was on like every teacher's bookshelf.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe in my 10th grade English class, we had to read that book. Is that the book where they're in a dome? Like they live in like a dome?
Yep.
It's like a post-apocalyptic... Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Why? I'm curious. Why was it banned?
Infanticide, suicide, and euthanasia.
Oh, so
we just can't be
real.
It's just too dark.
So real world things.
Can't be exposed to such.
Can't be exposed
such
to
witchery.
Such things. Witchcraft.
It's the witchcraft.
People killing themselves. Witchcraft.
We
are definitely going to have to put an explicit content on this one.
I know, gosh.
Oh
witchcraft,
my gosh.
The Giver, gosh.
I'm going to drop an F-bomb here in just a second just to make sure we get it.
Well, speaking of suicide, 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
It's also on the banned list.
Really?
Yep.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Suicide.
Listen, people.
They should have banned that show just because it sucked.
People are going to read. But here's the thing, though. People are going to read that book just because of the TV show.
Yeah. The TV show is wildly popular.
Remind me, because that will bring up a topic or a question I want to ask you when we're done through our list here of books.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see. What haven't I gone over yet? The Catcher in the Rye. Excessive vulgar language, depictions of sexuality, and, quote, things concerning moral issues.
Yeah, that'll get you every time. Those things.
Just too much ennui. Too much. As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner.
Really?
Are you serious?
As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner,
yes. We got to read that one in my English 101 class.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a Tex Woods class.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one about the guy in the coffin and the flood comes, right?
Yes, and the families. Yeah. And that's the one.
Why is that?
Wow.
Why?
Death, suicide.
Well, it's kind of like a dark comedy, right? Kind of like darkly comedic.
Profanity, sexuality,
What?
anti-Christianity.
Oh no!
Oh my God!
Oh no!
We can have the listen. We can have the
profanity.
cursing. We can have all of the profanity.
I don't even remember the profanity being that bad.
Maybe the moment you start talking about Jesus.
I was 20 when I cared about profanity, but I just don't remember anything in that book being like that bad.
It really
so that's
wasn't.
like a short story, right? Is that a short story?
It's more of a novella than a novel.
Are we gonna ban like The Great Gatsby now because of alcoholism and someone dying in a pool?
Gatsby was definitely challenged and probably banned.
Yeah, really?
I didn't have it listed, but about 90% sure.
Banned, I'm gonna be the one who does it. Gonna ban it.
Good. Ban it.
Gonna ban Leonardo DiCaprio while I'm at
it. Buddy, he's about to get himself banned. He's about to get himself banned is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Eek.
Okay.
Leo, think about your choices. Leo, where are your parents?
It's gonna be the plot of Catch Me If You Can here. Okay.
Let's see here. I feel like I just okay. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck.
Yeah,
okay.
Profanity, depictions of sexuality, and communism.
Yeah.
Are your kids playing video games?
So when did Grapes of Wrath come out?
Let's see. I don't know right offhand.
While you're looking that up, I'm going to make continue on with the point that I just made. The majority of these people that probably want these books banned are the same people that's putting their child in front of Grand Theft Auto every night.
Well, I mean,
tell me I'm wrong.
Do parents actually like monitor what video games kids watch?
No.
Or play? Do they just let them go?
No.
Right? Yeah.
I can assure you of that because I hear 10 and 11-year-olds playing Call of Duty every single night,
I'm sure
calling me profanity.
I'm sure the parents are just like, okay, little Jimmy, let's get on Call of Duty tonight. Of course, there's probably some cool parents that just don't care, I'm sure, but...
Are you putting cool in quotation marks?
I mean, sometimes parents just want to fit in with their kids, you know? It's okay,
they want to be their best friend instead of a parent.
Okay, kid, let's put on Toe Jam and Earl tonight. We're going to play Toe Jam and Earl.
We're going to play Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm Jim tonight.
This has just evolved into just a complete
thing
of parents fix your children.
You got the Grapes of Wrath date.
Yeah, the answer is 1939.
Okay.
Really?
So that was a big... So that was probably came right off the bat was probably getting banned.
Yeah.
So that was like a communism. That was like a big... Like in the 20s through 40s.
Red Scare. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If not, it would have been banned during the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
Definitely. With Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here's some modern ones for you guys.
Okay.
Looking for Alaska by John Green.
I've heard of that.
I don't know that one.
This was banned for, and again, pocket banned, for depictions of sexuality. It's a young adult book.
Mm-hmm.
Profanity and inclusion of LGBTQ characters.
Mm.
So is that sort of is that like a newer thing that's happening, or has that been a thing that people are trying to ban for years and years, or is it just something that just recently people have just decided we gotta ban that, even though the opposite should be happening, right?
Oh, things that include LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have heard about the Hays Code, right?
I don't know anything.
For movies.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, shoot.
I'm very dumb. I'm quite dumb.
The movie guys don't know about the Hays Code. The Hays Code.
Well,
I don't know.
Folks, strap in. We're getting ready to learn.
We don't know much
Okay,
about movies.
I can't remember the years right off the top of my head, but the Hays Code was a code that was in effect in old Hollywood that determined what you could depict in movies.
Okay.
And how you could depict it, and that affected the way actors kissed each other, the way LGBTQ characters were depicted. They had to be villainized, so that's why you.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They had to be villainized and punished. Those were the two tenets for that.
Okay.
So this stuff's gone all the way back in every conceivable way.
So what do you think the turning point was for that? Whenever they're like, we don't have to villainize anybody from this community in the movie or television or even book.
The Hays Code being struck down.
When was that?
I'll tell you. I don't know the date right offhand.
Because it just reminded me if we date back to I Love Lucy, they slept in separate beds,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what the first show was where the couple actually slept in the same bed.
I used to know that answer, actually.
Yeah, I did too. I remember my parents told me about it.
Was it the Brady Bunch?
No. Maybe?
Maybe?
It was before that. It was before that.
Was it the Addams Family?
No, I don't think so. It was something that maybe you just wouldn't think of, like a Mary Tyler Moore or something like that. I'm not sure though.
The Hays Code was the self-imposed industry set of guidelines for all motion pictures that were released between 1934 and 1968.
Okay. All right.
So
wow.
Very shortly before Free love movement.
Yeah.
So it's just no coincidence that movies started to become. I don't want to say they started to become great because there's some great ones before 1970, but in the 70s, movies started to. That's when the Scorseses and stuff like that. And gosh, why can't I'm drawing a blank on it? Who directed Clockwork Orange? Gosh,
Stanley
Kubrick, and they start. That's when you started getting a little bit more wilder, like weirder stuff. Because maybe like. It was just more acceptable on film.
Sure.
Like, of course, Clockwork Orange still has like an X rating or like an NC-17 rating. And yeah.
I'm writing myself a note for something for you guys to put into your hat later.
Oh boy.
It just reminded me of a topic.
A Clockwork Orange? Oh yeah, we'll put that in.
It's something called Video Nasties.
Video Nasties? What is that?
It's
What is that?
It's a bunch of movies that were banned, I think, in the UK back in the 70s, 80s.
Okay.
That'd be a good one, yeah.
I think you guys would be very into that.
I'm obsessed with the MPAA ratings, where I used to be, and I would like to dive back into the banning of...
Yeah. What constitutes a ban as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we? What were we talking about?
We were talking
about the Hays Code, and then,
talking about censorship of LGBTQ characters.
Oh, yeah, the modern books, yeah.
I mean, book banning's obviously still going on in the year of our Lord 2023. But I guess to answer your question of when that started, it's always been there, the censorship of non-heterosexual existence. Anyway, here's some more modern books. This One Summer by Jillian Tamaki and Mariko Tamaki. It is a graphic novel. Very cute graphic novel. Was banned, not from our library, for depictions of sexuality, drug use, weed, profanity, and inclusion of LGBTQ characters.
I smoke it every day in front of my kids, but they can't read about it.
So that's probably going to be like a common thread upon like more like modern books.
And if I'm not mistaken, this book here, this next one, and my last one, was the most challenged book of 2019, I believe. It's Ghost Boys by Joel Parker Rhodes. And this one has been banned and challenged for depiction of police brutality.
Sort of like The Hate U Give, pretty much.
Yes.
So I had The Hate U Give on
The Hate U Give is, also.
I had that on here, Because I watched the movie, did not read the book, but that was, I guess that's one where they're like, it's like, we don't want to show cops in a bad light, or I assume it was a faithful adaptation from the book. So if that's the case, then people are like, oh no, we can't have that.
To me, it feels like the people that are wanting to ban so many books are just trying to be over-sheltering. I hate to say that word and use it in that sort of context, but it feels like to me that it is just shelteredness and unaccepting of other people's lives and what they are and who they are.
Which is
it's sad.
Which is yet again, I don't want to get political. I'm just trying to state like a fact from where we live is that in our community in southern West Virginia, there's really just one religion. So the fact that people that are just like, this is the one religion, this is the one you got to stick by, trying to tell other people, it's like, no, like you can't have this thing is crazy to me. Whenever other people try to go outside of that religion and try to find out who they are, it's like, no, you can't do that. This is our way of life here, and no, just funny, just very funny.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't understand it. But the question I was going to ask you was, how long have you been at the library now?
7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
From not only your personal experience that your professional experience, but also your personal experience. Do you feel that these books being banned make these books actually more popular, though? Like, more people will want to check this book out and see why it's banned compared to just reading something stating that it's banned. Like, do you feel more people come in and look at the banned books and be like, well, why is this banned, and pick it up and check it out just to see why?
Yeah.
So do you feel like a book ban hurts the book, or that it actually helps the book in the long run?
That's a nuanced discussion to have, but from what I've seen with all of the little displays that I do, what's gotten the most interaction has been my banned book display. There's just something about it is eye-catching.
It's very eye-catching.
It's like, why was this banned? And I think that it ties into that philosophy of no publicity, or all publicity is good publicity. But it also doesn't change the fact that there are just a lot of school districts and public libraries that just do not have these materials on hand because of the ban. So it, on the one hand, it does spotlight them. On the other hand, it does negatively affect them. Both of these things are true.
So it's give and take.
Both things are true.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I asked. I didn't. For me, it would be if I was that young and was with the mindset that I have now. Back then, I would have been probably trying to scope those books out just to see why they were banned and to form my opinion about it. But yeah, I mean that's just the question that I felt was appropriate to ask when it comes to the popularity of those books, along with what we were talking about. Anything else? You were talking about some moral dilemma that you wanted to bring up to us.
Yes, I had a patron come in to the library last week, I believe, that just apropos of nothing proposed an ethical question to me, and I learned something. But I'm going to propose the same question to you guys, and you answer, and then I'll tell you how I answered as someone who is working on her librarianship certification. Okay. So this man comes in. Let me set the scene for you. This man comes in. He has long silver hair, a velvet black blazer on, and like these little round sunglasses.
Okay.
He comes in. He needs a fax. I do this fax for him. I bring the fax receipt back to him, and he looks at me. He's like, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He's like, "Okay. As a librarian, there is this book that is called Pernkopf's Anatomy. It's a Pernkopf's Atlas of Topographical and Applied Human Anatomy. This book has the most accurate depictions of the human body. It is still actively being used by surgeons today. It is currently out of print because Pernkopf was a Nazi."
Ooh! Oh my!
Pernkopf was a Nazi. It is out of publication because of this. I've looked it up. You can find copies online, and they are thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And the artwork depicted in this anatomy book has been donated for like historical preservation. So there's that. So the question that was proposed to me was, would you carry it in your library?
So he was basically like...
So he's putting you on the spot. Asking you whether or not you were a Nazi supporter.
He was on a reality show. He was secretly filming you to see what your answer was.
He was on What Would You Do, or whatever that one was called.
With John Quinones.
Yes. Yeah. So the question is, would I carry the book because...
If you were a librarian,
okay,
and you were building your collection out, and you had this anatomy book,
okay,
that's still being used, like is still factually correct, would you keep it, even though the guy that put it together
so he was like a straight up Nazi,
was a Nazi, and there is some debate over the depictions of the bodies, the illustrations of the bodies in the book, if they may have been Austrian political prisoners.
that's the
okay.
case.
Now that changes it.
Yeah.
That changes things.
Yeah, I was probably going to say no anyways, but yeah.
Okay. My answer initially was going to be yes.
I mean,
for the reason of being that if he's a Nazi, I'm going to rip his daggone name out of the whole entire book. But if it's being used for medical purposes to help people in the long run, then yes, I would keep that book. I wouldn't let kids, rent it out or anything. But as far as for medical professionals and things like that would need that book and possibly it would help them to treat people, yes. However, with the end part of that information that you brought, there's no way. There's no earthly way I would keep that book.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be a no from me if that's the case. Yeah. But I was leaning towards no to begin with. But I don't know. It's something I had to think about. Because he was an actual Nazi.
Yes.
Because I almost relay that to a who's the director of Rosemary's Baby?
Oh,
Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
Yes.
You still see those movies out, and he's objectively an awful person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you do? Is it okay to still like Rosemary's Baby? It's it is. It's great, but he's not. He's awful. So I'd say no, obviously, for that one.
And
unless you say otherwise. Unless you say yeah, then I'm with you. You got to be agreeable.
Okay. So here's how I answered this question. I said, yes, we would carry it.
Yes.
Because one of the core tenets of librarianship is being anti-censorship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Libraries, by and large, are against book banning.
Yeah.
Period.
Sure.
It is. Book bans within public libraries are not coming from the librarian level.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be, because that's not ethical.
Right.
So, this being a nonfiction book, the way we maintain and weed our collections is we look at our nonfiction books. If the information is out of date, cannot be used, gets tossed. We'll put it up for sale, whatever. But since this is something that is still being used by medical professionals, the information is accurate, we would carry it.
Yeah, there's nothing objectively false.
There's nothing.
What you're saying.
Nothing objectively false.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
See, I don't have the librarian mindset. So my brain just goes oh, okay, let me.
So I was partly ethically correct.
So let's say if I was working in a library and knew this stuff that you just said, I guess I would by default I would have to say yeah. Since there's nothing in it that just that shows his awful points of view or anything that's objectively false.
The only thing that's really awful in it is that it's pictures of prisoners,
which
kind
is not proven.
Is unconfirmed. Is unconfirmed. I will say that some of the illustrations, in initial publications, the artist signed it with some Nazi symbology that was later removed.
Okay.
Later removed.
Okay.
This book is out of print.
Yeah.
But I think there is a case to be made that it could be recirculated with a disclaimer in the front.
Sure.
How
just
Disney does.
Plus.
Yeah, how Disney.
Dumbo.
The viewpoints of this book do not reflect.
I haven't watched Dumbo in a long time, but some TikToks popped up of some stuff that happens in Dumbo. I'm like, oh my god! Are you kidding? Of course there's something that pops up at the beginning of this. This is terrible. But yeah, I totally understand that.
I completely understand that myself.
Yeah.
Well, we've had our ethical dilemma for the evening, even though we've been on an ethical dilemma the whole entire episode. Erica, is there anything else you want to chit-chat about?
Anything you want to advertise?
Yeah.
Your work or anything?
Well, let me think.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
This is a moral dilemma.
Well, okay. I am currently on my never-ending journey to being traditionally published, which is super hard. super hard.
Yeah.
And I need people to understand that it is super hard and getting harder every year that passes because there is such a deluge of material being sent out to agents. It's very hard to land an agent.
Material.
So recently, in my endeavor to get some representation for my books, I've noticed that on query forms, a query is the thing that basically say, hey, this is what my book's about. Would you like to represent me, please? I promise it's good. In query forms now, there are now sections for social media.
Oh.
And there is now the expectation of authors being a one-person marketing machine. Now, I left Twitter in 2021. I'm not going back.
Don't blame you.
But I'm on TikTok.
Hey.
I'm on
and
TikTok.
you get some views on TikTok.
But not for the writing ones, unfortunately.
Isn't that how it always goes? Right?
4 million views for my face, but nothing for my funny little...
Like a 3-second TikTok.
Yeah. So mad.
I don't know anything about TikTok, so I just...
the algorithm is rough.
Anyway, before I continue my querying journey, I'm trying to build up a base on TikTok so that way I can post the link
how many followers are you at now?
Not many, like 3,000 or something like that.
You got quite a few on that $4 million video.
I wish.
4 million.
We would all not be here ananymore because we would be riding the coattails. That's what we would be doing.
We would all be on vacation right now. 3,400.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm trying to build up an audience so I can post the link and maybe they might give my query a second read.
If it makes you feel any better, you have 3,400 more than me and Caleb do. So
I got about 7,300.
Yeah, he's got way more.
But once I got to 7,000, it reached a screeching halt. Like it's taken me forever to get that 300. And I did similar. Like I try to sort of pimp out my music via TikTok through the viewers, but they do not care about that. even this podcast trying to. And people are like, no,
it's hard out here.
Just give us a 30-second list that's very controversial instead, Caleb. Come on, give us what we want.
That is the key for interaction is say something controversial.
What is your TikTok handle?
My TikTok handle is at Nom de Erica. It's a play on nom de plume, NOMDEERICA. So,
go give her a follow.
Give me a little follow.
Have you pinned your $4 million view video, or do you not want to?
The videos I have pinned are all about the writing.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I just posted this for my wife. I didn't expect everyone in the world to have an opinion on my profile. Anyway, if you follow me on TikTok, I have a link to my card page, which has a bunch of outgoing links to landing pages for my various writing projects. I worked very hard on those. They're very pretty on desktop. And you can actually read the first chapter of my novel Saltland on there. So if you
very cool
feel like reading it, it has been the one that has gotten me the most positive feedback.
Well, go do it, people.
Cool. Yeah, go do it.
Go follow. Click that link.
Well, Caleb, I guess now we pick our topic for next week.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that to Eric.
Do you have anything else you want to discuss?
What? I don't think so. I think we've probably covered it all. I mean, I had a little bit more on Death of the Author, but we might be here for another hour. So,
tell you what, we'll put Death
Part 2.
We'll put it in here.
Death of the Author. We'll put literary theory in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. That's. We'll sit here and we'll listen to you again. Because. All right, Erica. So go ahead and pick our topic for next week and let us know what we will be discussing. God, I hope it's good.
I hope it's good too.
Hope it's good.
I hope it's another one of my topics.
It's
going for 3.
That'll be 3.
It's very possible.
Going for 3
in a row.
Oh no.
Which holiday is best?
Uh-oh.
Which holiday is best?
Caleb,
none of them.
Which holiday is best?
You have to find out next week when we talk about it.
We'll
which holiday is best?
Which holiday?
I didn't know
is
that was in
best?
there.
Yeah, I threw some random ones
Some
in there.
crazy
that you
ones
didn't
in
know
there,
about.
huh? Some crazy. Let's talk about the Grammys again next week.
Yeah. For Caleb, the Oscars is a complete holiday, so he's
It kind of is, you know. It kind of is.
Awards season.
Award season, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Don't we have something in there about awards? Or
I believe so.
something? Who cares? This is the holidays.
Holidays.
Which holiday? I think Green Days is the best.
Well, I mean, we do have.
Did you get it?
We have.
Did you get it?
Well, I mean,
their song holiday.
Oh, shut up. We do have Valentine's Day coming up next week, so
which is objectively the worst holiday.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Have you not been in President's Day yet? Because that's a holiday for me. I have the day off. And so do kids
any holiday where you get the day off is a good one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
Caleb, where can people find us?
They can find us on Facebook. Just type in Chat from a Hat. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Obviously, anywhere where you stream your podcast, including the one that you're on right now, listening to this very episode.
And if anyone is listening on YouTube, I do apologize that I completely forgot to upload last week's episode until Saturday. I'm so sorry.
Listen, we have probably 2 viewers on YouTube.
That's
so
okay. But those 2 viewers are important.
Sure.
Listeners.
We love them.
We love them, yeah.
I'm glad they got their YouTube episode.
Well, thank you very much for listening to us here. I am Josh Brown.
I'm Caleb Luther.
And you?
I'm Erica Kitchen.
And thank you so much for being here.
Thank
we
you,
hope
Erica.
you have enjoyed Chat from a Hat. We will talk to you all next week about which holiday is best.